Hello and welcome to Intertextual Experience, where we're looking to go viral with Ray Billings as the guest for episode 42. How are you doing today, Ray?
I'm doing great, Ryan. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming and join the show and chat. And we're going to be talking about, well, I mean, more so, you're going to be talking about
Sure.
marketing, content creation, digital media marketing, and everything in that space for board games. And that's going to be kind of like the lens for the episode. We've got
Hello.
some hypothetical situations.
Ooh, exciting.
And but yeah, so like kind of for starters though, speaking of kind of all those different words, I've seen your name and I just poke around and I've seen your title kind of like
Mhm.
with a few variations. So right
Mm,
now, like what is your official title?
my official title, it might be changing again soon, so this might be immediately outdated. Yes, I'm currently the digital content specialist at the Op Games, which is a very fancy way. In marketing, I feel like we throw a lot of words around. It basically means I run all of our social media and any sort of organic front-facing way that you'd interact with the op is typically me. So social media is the big one, but that also includes like email lists and blogs and stuff like that.
Okay, very cool. So digital content specialist.
Specialist, yeah.
Okay.
I bumped up from coordinator to specialist. It was a big deal.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean I asked because yeah, it's going to get inserted into some of those hypothetical situations
Sure.
later, so I wanted that to be like verbatim. But also, I don't know, it is funny like sometimes the way job titles will
Oh
prioritize one
yeah.
word versus another, and like 10 years
Yeah.
later it's going to change.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, part of that was my fault. When I joined, they were originally hiring for like a social media specialist, which is a lot more straightforward. But I like to do a lot of video work and a lot of like other things. I feel like social media, sometimes people are like, that's just Twitter. Like they have an idea in their mind of like all that social media is. And I like to push the boundaries of things I do. So I was like, what if we made it digital media? Because that felt more in line with how I think about my work, but now it causes confusion. So people are like, what do you do? What does that mean? So yeah.
Yeah, and honestly too, just kind of, taking on more than the social media kind of fits well into like this general line of questioning. Like
Yeah.
I'm going to say it now like three times because I mentioned it now, but the idea of like wearing a whole bunch of hats.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Um, Very neat. So like not necessarily even within the realm of your job. So you can just kind of like think about yourself and still kind of in that line of titles. If
Mhm.
you were to have just like a title that was not
Mm.
related to your job and you're like, I could be this,
Oh,
what title would
oh,
you want
like
to
in
like
my
go?
life?
Yeah, like you just get to have a title. It's you.
Oh man. Let me hold on. I want to be like this is gonna sound really cringe. I want to be like the host. I want that to be like my title. It's the thing I like love the most. And when people like that's like the thing that I love to do, and it's part of why I love board games so much is I love bringing people together in physical space, and I feel like that is what I want my title to be in my everyday life.
Oh, I like that. Yeah. I mean, I first off, I mean, completely random question. I put you on the spot. I like thought of this question like in line like
No,
a
I
couple
like
days
it.
ago, and I still haven't even really come up with one for myself. So the fact that you came up with one in like 2 seconds, and I like adding the before the
Right. Well,
host,
that's I feel like that has
the
aura. That's
host.
got like a vibe to it, right?
Uh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I that's a pretty like knockout title. I'm here for it.
Thanks. You can
Okay.
start calling me that any day now. Like
Yeah,
you
any
can
day.
we can start now.
Yeah, just put it anywhere that you like have like a sign off or a tagline.
Yeah, right.
The host. Okay. And uh now have like, just kind of I don't know. Before we get into some kind of like maybe have like a preface for just like some technical questions
Sure.
and maybe yeah, I'm not even sure if technical because I don't have like the expertise to even ask like super technical questions.
Sure.
Just kind of like in the way that I'm digesting and processing. So I have like a big preface to that. But before even that, I guess what is kind of, and I've heard of this in various places where I've seen you on video or listened to or anything like that, just
Mm.
your background in playing games. But I guess like what is an an event or just like a particular kind of like moment where like you knew that like your interests and your expertise just like mashed up perfectly
Oh,
that got you to kind of like where you are today.
I have immediately have an answer. I was actually like just thinking about this the other day, actually, because I had like one of those like out of body experiences. I was lying in bed and being like, how did I like figure this out for myself? Because if you talk to anyone who's especially like full time in the board game or tabletop industry, we all have a very different story for how we got here. We're all just kind of like, got lucky. Because it's, everyone wants to make this, not everyone, but a lot of people want, like, dream of making their hobby their livelihood, which, like, pros and cons of that. But, like, we're all very lucky to be here and everyone got here in a weird way. But the moment for me where I was like, oh, I have a skill set I can bring was my very first Gen Con. I was working part-time for a board game company called Resonim when I was in college. And I was like working for them over the summer and like part-time during the school year. And the owner of the company had dropped out of Gen Con because she got really sick. And they were like, we just need a body in the booth. And I was not on the list for Gen Con. They had like a whole policy, but like not bringing like quote unquote kids to Gen Con, which like I get, like, you want adults. And I was like, what would I have been like 19? And I got brought on, got brought on. I could tell that they were like putting a lot of trust in me, like, don't embarrass us, be responsible and whatever. And one of the things that the owner of the company had lined up for Gen Con was back in the day, well, I feel ancient. Back in the day, they used to have this thing called the BGG live show at Gen Con. They would have a booth that was a whole live show, and publishers could sign up to come and have like a 15-minute spot where they could pitch their game live to BGG. And that was one of the things that Mary, the owner of the company, had lined up for her. And in lieu of her, with her absence, no one else wanted to do it. The second in command at the company doesn't particularly like being on camera, so he was like, "Ray, go! You're gonna go do this thing." And I like, it still keeps me up at night sometimes. I was so nervous. I was circling the booth, like waiting for my time. I had a copy of Mechanica, which was our game at the time that we were promoting, and I was so nervous. And it was one of those really big, like, do it scared moments of like, I just have to do this. Had never really been on camera before. And I think I blacked out, but I watch it back now and I did okay. And I remember the host was like, that was really good. And I remember he like gave me a look because I was a teenager coming on there. And I remember him like giving me a look. And then he said something to me afterwards of like, that was really great. Like, thank you so much. Like there was a genuine tinge of like, oh, like that was awesome. Thank you. You did great. And that's sort of when I realized that I have a bit of a talent for getting other people excited about games like through a camera. Because that is, I mean, that's what I do in my everyday life. I'm constantly trying to grab people from my regular life to come play games with me. And I'm the person who's like pitching it and explaining it and being like, this is why it's going to be so fun. And I basically just had to like flip a switch and do that professionally. And, it was an indie company. We all like worked really hard on all the games we made. We all had like a real hand in it. So I felt like I could really talk about what made this game special because I'd done all the playtests, like I'd been there for the whole thing. And yeah, that was a big moment for me was being on camera for VGG Live at Gen Con and blacking out, but doing it successfully, like walking away from it, being like, okay, I kind of enjoyed that, and I think I could kind of do that again. And that, ironically, then like 3 years later, I did professional board game live streaming for like a long time. But yeah, that was the moment for me, I think.
Oh, that's like, I mean, first off, that's just like a super crazy story. Definitely one of those trial by fire
I
type of
was so scared.
moments for
I
sure.
was thought I was gonna vomit. I was so scared. I was so
Yeah,
scared.
I can't even imagine. I'm very okay with public speaking at times, but yeah, just like the quick twist and magnitude of that, I would have
Oh,
the video of me would just been like passed out
it
on the
was I
ground.
I was just shaking. It was so bad because one of the things we did with that game was we had an AR app that would like animate some of the pieces because it's like sort of like Factorio. It's like a factory game. So you could
Hmm.
hold your phone over the game and like watch the little pieces do what they would do. And there's like the top-down shot of my hand in my phone. I'm just like this. I'm just you can't see because this is an audio format, but my hand was shaking so bad. I think my face was fine, but the hand gave it away when I panned down to be like, and we have an app. Just like shaking.
Like, does the app work? I don't
Yeah, I'm
know.
like, I don't know. Oh, that was the other thing. I was so scared to death because the Wi-Fi and the connection in a
Oh yeah.
convention center is so bad. I was like, I swear to God, if this app doesn't load, I'm crying and I'm quitting. But no, the app loaded. It was all good, and now here we are.
Awesome. Well, glad that that happened. I mean, obviously a little shocking at the time, but
Yeah,
it was
traumatizing, but yeah,
yeah, it was the catalyst. So,
yeah, yeah, for sure.
that's awesome. Yeah, so this is going to be kind of one of the prefaces because yeah, just again in the most like mild of exposure to kind of like anything like kind of like more so honestly like seeing the final product of some of the things that you're doing and doing the most minor amount of research like reading articles that like you've written and everything
Yeah,
like that is just kind of like the mild peek behind the door, but
yeah,
you know, yeah, again, this is not something that like I'm either like familiar with or if I am I'm just not really good at it.
sure.
So my social media is pretty bad. Like I'm just
Mhm.
such an inconsistent like social media person, and I know that
Yeah,
consistency is a key to certain
yeah,
things.
yeah.
My my wife, on the other hand, she is the land management director for a local nonprofit land conservancy.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's super cool. Well, here I have like literally speaking of audio podcasts, I have like the junkiest chair. So like I'm gonna sync like 10 times throughout the course of this thing. But yeah, I've got like one of these
Oh
like
wow,
really
look at that.
yeah, I got like a
Nice.
really cool shirt. So
Hell
it's just like a
yeah.
nice volunteering shirt.
That's awesome.
And but yeah, so like because of like the fact that it is like like a nonprofit and local and smaller, they have like such a
Yeah.
limited like a limited staff. And
Yeah.
she has to, as I mentioned before, wear a lot of different hats. So
Sure.
on top of being the land management director, she does a lot of, well, she does the social media, creates events, does educational
Mm.
talks and everything like that.
Oof.
Yeah.
That's a
So
lot. That's too much.
yeah.
I could not.
Yeah, I mean like does such a good job at all that stuff and creating like the digital media for those different
Yeah.
things or just even creating presentations for the educational talks. Like literally the most recent example, we just had a banquet for the cross country team that we both coach as well. So
Oh, cool.
doing that too.
Yeah.
And she just made like I've in years past, like literally the past 5 years, I've made the little end of season banquet slides presentation.
Yeah.
And this year she's like, I can like make it. And like what she made, it would have taken me like 10 times as long to make, and it wouldn't look like nearly as good, right? I'm
Yeah.
like a step above the Windows 97 looking PowerPoints that still exist,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I'm in the middle, right? But in short, yeah, I think like some people just have an eye for like layout, formatting,
Mm.
like that catchiness,
Hmm.
and are just really good at that stuff. And I'm not, so
Yeah, yeah. I'm honestly not either. My secret is that our graphic designer does anything that's like a static image on our socials. I'm typically not making it. If it looks like kind of bad, it might have been me because she was busy, our graphic designer. But no, I'm very lucky that I get quite a bit of help with that because it is also not. I'm one of those people where I think I have an eye for it, and then I see like our graphic designer Adriana. I'll like try something. I'll be like, man, this really doesn't look good. And I'll send it to her, and she'll like fix two things and it'll just look so much better. And I'm just like, man, I really don't have it, do I?
well, yeah, I mean, I mean, though, there's still, I don't know, just like that in touchness, the tuneness. I
Sure.
mean, wherever you think that you're have those that like out, like I'm over, like
Sure.
way over there. Um, but yeah, so just kind of like another like segue though before
Mhm.
kind of like talking about some of the things that you're doing within your position. I
Sure.
just kind of wanted to like check in about some of the things that you're doing outside of your position as well, because
Yeah.
I've seen you on the R&R show, and I
Yeah.
know that you do like other stuff. So just kind of like
Yeah.
giving a shout out and just talking about everything that you are doing within the board game space.
Totally. Yeah, I mean the big one is the R&R show. I was invited, I guess, over a year ago now to join as their third live host for the R&R show, which is Rahdo runs through's his like monthly or bi-monthly list show where we rank the top 15 whatever. So we recently did top 15 trick takers and we do top whatever engine builders, stuff like that, as well as like, anticipated games for conventions and stuff. It's just like the classic YouTube list formula, but it's live and hosted on Twitch and then posted up on YouTube. And what I love about that is I used to do, as I mentioned, I used to do live board game live streaming professionally, and I also used to live stream for fun. And I kind of dropped off with both of those. I just got really burnt out with the whole thing. But the R&R show is it's like a nice way to keep my foot in that community because I love it so much. It's just like once or twice a month is perfect. I get to talk about board games, and it is nice because I obviously work full time in the board game industry, but I have to talk about specific games every day. And I, believe it or not, like other games too. And it's really nice to show my personality a little bit more and like show my personal taste in games more. And the R&R show is a great platform for that. I love it so much, especially because like Ruel, who I know you've had on the show recently, Ruel and Chris have kind of similar tastes and they're a little bit more like classic board gamers and I'm a little bit of a wild card. So it's very fun to come in with my more eclectic tastes. So yeah, that's the big one is the R&R show, which you can catch either live on Rahdo Runs Through's Twitch channel or like on his YouTube channel, which gets posted up later. I used to, as I mentioned, I used to stream for fun. I used to run a retro gaming channel that like maybe it'll come back someday. I recently moved, and as we were talking before the show, my partner just started residency. So life has been it's been a lot. And live streaming for me is something that I love so much, but I definitely hit kind of a tipping point with it where I was just burnt out with it, but that was a big love of my life for a long time. I mean, streaming really is what started my whole career. That was how I got my my first big full-time job in the industry. I live streamed for Resonum after the BGG live at Gen Con thing. I was like, that was kind of fun. And I got kind of into the live streaming community and I was like, there's no board game publisher that does a live stream. Like at the time, there might have been like the Brothers Murph were starting to do it, some of those early adopters in the board game community, but there was no publisher. And I was like, we could do that. So I started live streaming from like the Resonum office not every day, but like a couple times a week. And got a lot of live streaming experience. And then that's what got me picked up by CGE, which let me do full-time streaming for a long time. So I love streaming so much. But yeah, I've backed away from it in recent years now. But retro gaming is one of my favorite things. Video games is like my other big love besides board games. So the idea behind my personal channel was a spot for me to have an outlet for that because I just like to talk to people about the things I like. I realize that like that really is that's what gets me up in the morning is like getting other people excited about what I'm excited about is like my favorite thing. So for me, streaming was just that. I got to just talk endlessly. One of the hardest things for me switching to my current position where I now do short, bite-sized content. I'm a yapper. I love streaming because I love to be a professional vamper. I love to just chat and having to learn to be succinct was very tricky for me. But yeah, to answer your question, R&R Show is the only other public-facing place you can really find me these days. But I have other hobbies in my private life. I'm a complex person. It's not just board games, I promise.
Wait, what? There are other things outside of board games? No, no.
Yeah, yeah, right?
No, no, no. I mean, yeah, that's I don't know. That is kind of well, not funny, but obviously, well, not obviously, a part of the name or the title or the goal of my show is to, when possible, link board games to other mediums and
Totally.
also just I mean I like to talk and I just like talking with people who are
Yeah.
passionate about the things that they like too. So being able to, play whether it's like board games or video games or watching shows or reading books or whatever that might be and
Yeah.
like coming up with those connections and honestly like when I'm kind of like down, I mean in terms of like consumption or like playing stuff or doing
Yeah.
the amount of reading I want to do, like this kind of falls behind because I'm like, I'm not
Yeah.
doing anything to talk about.
Yeah, I get that.
But no, I think yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And
Yeah.
I guess the follow-up question that I didn't even like necessarily have is you mentioned when you started doing the live streaming, I'd say like
Mhm.
I just in general, I typically will probably catch any type of stream like after the fact.
Yeah.
I'm not like in the chats
Sure. Yeah.
like for the live stream. You
Yeah.
said like how I guess at this point in time, like how many, because I just actually really don't know about rough percentage of some of like the bigger board game companies do you think have their own like kind of like in-house live streaming?
Mm. I can think of like maybe one or two off the top of my head. I know like Leader Games does some live streams. They've got a pretty robust like Twitch and YouTube presence. I think Yellow has
Hmm.
like a live streaming team out in France, right? That's where Yellow's from. But it's really, it never really, it's a very niche concept. You really need to be a big enough publisher with a big enough community to sustain it. So yeah, it's not a common thing. The thing that's now taking off more is like finally companies are getting full-time social media people. And that's one step in the right direction. I've been my biggest like my biggest crusade whenever I'm talking to my other marketing friends is like you need to tell someone that you cannot do social media anymore because if you're doing influencer relationships, if you're doing press releases, if you're doing all of the other things that a marketing manager does, I feel like social media is still that thing where people are like, yeah, do that too. Like just tack it on there. You could just do social media as well. It's like it's so much if you want to do it well, it's so much work. So yeah, no, live streaming I don't see ever becoming like a big thing with publishers ever. It'll still kind of remain a niche thing, but I think it definitely has its benefits for the right publisher, obviously.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, it just kind of feels like potentially a lot of time and
Yeah.
resources just
Yeah.
for maybe not necessarily the most people
Yeah. No,
tuning in.
totally.
So
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
awesome. Okay, so yeah, a couple times now mentioned the idea of kind of the different things that you're doing. So kind of well, I'll actually present the kind of like a two-part question in two parts as opposed to like front loading you with all of it right now. But kind
Okay.
of like regarding all the different things you're doing, all the different
Yeah.
like hats you're wearing, what would you say like a typical day to day is as
Oh,
typical as it might
yeah.
be?
Yeah. Typical for me is, I wake up, go through the inbox because I do work in a relatively corporate setting. So lots of emails. I joke to my partner all the time that I work at the email factory because that is what it feels like sometimes. Wake up, answer, go to the email factory for a couple hours. I typically will like check the content schedule for the week or whatever and like see what do we have coming up today, what do we have coming up in a couple weeks. Either sitting down and filming a bunch of content, or sitting down and editing content that was like filmed a previous day. I typically do one of those two things in a day. And going through comments and stuff from previous videos and meetings. I try to be as interconnected with the rest of the team as possible, like learning what like products we're coming up with, like being sitting in on playtests and stuff like that, because I am the outward voice. I am that person who again needs to make people excited about something. So I need to understand like why did we make this? Why are we excited about it? Because it is really different working for a company as big as the Op, where we put out. I mean, if you consider all the like the license and IP variations and stuff, like 70 games a year, something crazy like that. But everything about like, unique individual games, it's still like in the teens. It's still a lot of games. And going from an indie company or even a company like CGE that like they put out like a game a year and it's like, they put in everything into that to a company where putting out a lot, right? It's hard to keep up with everything, so I try my best to stay in tune with that and what we're doing. But yeah, I mean, my days, thankfully, are pretty streamlined now because I'm like full time the content person. I'll work on blogs and emails and stuff depending on like the day and what needs to get done. But like it's pretty much all content all the time, which is nice. I'm very lucky in this space. I feel like a lot of folks who do marketing or digital media, they're doing a lot more. They're doing a lot more than me. And sometimes I feel guilty talking about it. I'm like, no, that's it. Like that's my job. That's what I do. I sit down, I make videos, I edit videos, I write blog, I write email. That's like kind of it. And I'm
Well,
very grateful for that.
I'm sure despite the streamlining that it is
Yeah, it's a lot of
quite
work, but it's
quite
not
quite a bit.
diverse as, yeah, it's not as diverse as a lot of other folks in similar positions to me. And that's just, frankly, what's the word I'm looking for? It's testimony to the op. They really value social media, so they've carved out a spot for me. And then the other t jobs, everyone's very specialized, which I appreciate and is also very rare. Because yeah, there's a lot of overworking in this industry because there's not a lot of money in it, and everyone's really passionate about it, so everybody overextends themselves. So it's a very common story.
Yeah, that's. I mean, it's awesome then that that is now your
Yeah,
situation,
yes,
and you
yeah.
just gotta make it through the email factory
Yeah, I
every
gotta make
day.
it through the
But
email factory every morning. That's the hardest part. And then I get to be creative for the afternoon and make fun videos and brainstorm ideas and stuff.
yeah, I think kind of like within that response too, another thing that stuck out is like yeah, kind of what you said, being the outward voice, but
Hmm.
kind of being in like as many steps as possible. I mean,
Yeah.
as somebody who is, like passionate about board games and obviously wanting to do your job as well as you can,
Yeah.
I think like that just adds to the the general like authenticity of
Yeah.
what it is you're doing like so much, and I think
Yeah.
that sticks out and works really
Yeah.
well
I
then.
try. I feel like I feel like social media gets a bad rap for being, artificial and staged and all this stuff. And I try whenever I can. I can't always, but I try whenever I can to bring like genuine enthusiasm to everything because that is what resonates with people. And so I try to find, even if it's a game that maybe I'm not excited about, I try to find part of it that I'm like, this I can get behind. Like this is cool. I'm excited about this, and just lean into that because it's that will resonate with folks. Because you can always kind of tell when somebody is like not all there, especially in like a video format. If they're you can tell, and I try not to let them tell. I we make so many games. They're not all my absolute favorite, but I try to find like why did we make this? What is exciting about this, and how can I portray that to people? And also, who is this for? Maybe it's not for me, but can I like connect for who this is for and get them excited about it? Because like that will work. That's the
Yeah,
job.
100%. That's really cool. Yeah, I don't know. I can't overthink that too much, or else we'll be like sitting here looking at me, which not, we'll take a pass on that. Okay? So you mentioned like a range of some of the things that you're doing, and you also mentioned that on the whole, like things are like relatively streamlined. But
Hmm.
then I guess in terms of the range, then. So kind of going outside of the day to day, what are some of the extremes? Like one day you could be doing kind of the norm, and then next day you could be doing like this.
Oh yeah. I mean, we I think we talked about this before we started recording. I try to go out to the office for the op like a few times a year. Those days are insane. Those days are so wild. Those days will be like 12 hours of filming and coordinating because I'm full-time remote. There's an office for the op and I'm full-time remote. And I'm the content girl, so I gotta get a lot of content remotely. And so I'll fly out a few times a year and I will just batch film a ton of stuff. So by the end of those days, we are all like, there's a gas leak in the building. Like, we are all so tired. And I'm like, one more round of Hues and Cues, please. Like, it is so wild. And we also like jam pack all of like, the big important meetings we try to do in person. So it'll be like, the big meeting in the morning, and then I had to be like, "You guys want to come be silly and play Tapple with me?" Like the whiplash is so intense. And also like convention days are insane. I mean, convention days are the most exhausting type of day I can have. Running around from meetings again to filming to booth setup to all sorts like vendor meetings, all that stuff. Run, 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 run. Um, but yeah, no, going out to the office and doing a ton of content filming is a very unique and tiring experience. You can kind of tell it's hard because now when I'm editing the videos, I'm like, man, this was the last one we filmed, isn't it? Like everyone looks a little dead inside.
Oh, that's funny. I mean, it. it makes a lot of sense. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, you're not being able to meet up with everybody in the company because, I mean, just in general, all the time. So
Yeah.
it's,
It's
huh,
so much social overload because I am like full-time remote in my apartment. My partner's at the hospital like 90% of his waking hours. So I'm like alone in my room again at the email factory, just tippy tap. And then going into the office and all of a sudden there's like 3 dozen people who know me because they see me on our socials all the time and I'm like, "Oh God, what's your name again?" Like I don't remember everyone and I had this horrific experience when I first joined the op. My first time out to the office was on Halloween. So I met the majority of my coworkers for the first time, that first impression in costume. So I'm meeting people where I'm like, "Oh, last time I saw you, you were Cocaine Bear. What is your name? I don't remember." Like, so I'm still recovering from that. There's still people where I'm like, "Oh no, I don't know who you are," because I don't work there. I don't have the office experience, so it's so socially draining. I'm someone who like I have my bursts, and it's one of the reasons why like I like content creation digitally, because I can have those bursts and I can record that energy and then I can go like lie down. And I don't do great with the like 8 hours of like social interaction. I'm not built for it. I was not forged in the fires of office culture. Just like I'm so tired, and then I'm like trying to film videos, and I'm just like I want to go lie down. Too much people.
no, I definitely get the social fatigue thing, and
Yeah,
yeah, like I've been teaching for I don't know, almost a decade now, and kind of a similar thing. It's like by the end of the day, like sometimes you might see me and think that I like hate my job more than anything else, but I
yeah,
don't. It's just like I'm tired,
yeah,
like legitimately tired
yep.
from interacting. Like that's it.
Yep. Yep.
But
I totally get that.
but I definitely like what I'm doing. So oh, very cool. Okay, so got one thing before kind of getting to some of these like hypotheticals, but kind of mentioned before that you were featured in Board Game Wire. There's titled "How Board Game Maker the Op Got 8 million TikTok views last month." So I've read that a few times, and I'll put it in the
Cool.
description. So in case
Ah,
anybody hasn't
thanks.
seen it, check it out. It's really neat.
Thanks.
And there was a lot that just kind of like stuck out to me because I hadn't really thought about it. Um, but I think like the things in the way that I was able to digest them
Sure.
like stuck out for. I just thought that, like again, everything kind of made sense in that like, oh yeah, I haven't thought about it type of
Hmm.
way before. And having a lot of these moments was this conversation too. It's like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Um, the like what you wrote, recognize trends and knowing what's going on in media, but still emphasize the importance of you, the
Hmm.
creator.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
and also I just feel like it was very, community focused too. Like this is
Yeah.
kind of like a blueprint that
Yeah.
makes sense, but it's not like it's mine. Like you're literally just
Yeah.
like sharing it for anybody to
Yeah.
to take a look at. So
Yeah, of course. Yeah, well, thank you for reading. I love writing. It's one of my favorite things that I do. Whenever I get the opportunity to do it, if you invite me to write a guest article, it is the greatest day at the email factory for me. I love it. So thank you for sharing that. I had a lot of fun writing it. I've learned a lot since I wrote that too. I wrote that like that was like the first month we really popped off. BoardGameWire reached out to me and I was like, I feel underqualified to talk about this, but sure. So I feel like I want to revisit it now, and I think I could give a lot more breadth of information. But yeah, no, that's something that still holds up from that article is what's trending is important, but what's more important is doing something that's authentic to you because you can kind of tell when somebody is doing what they think they should do and they're so uncomfortable doing it. And I just want to grab them and be like, talk to me like you talk to your friends. Like that really is like, it's helpful. For a lot of like my announcement videos and stuff, I put on a pretty professional scripted voice because I'm announcing a product or whatever. But like, if you're doing something silly and fun that's just for entertainment value, like do it in a way that's comfortable for you. That is the most important thing, I think. It's a lot of copycat. It's a lot of just like House of Mirrors and social media. We just want to be like everybody else, and it really you have to find the people that you resonate with when you're just watching your own social media are people who are distinctive and have a unique approach to stuff, and that's a really hard thing to convince newbies to do is like just do what feels comfortable to you. Like there are basic things of like get good lighting, get good audio, because if I can't understand you, it doesn't matter. But like beyond that, you don't have to do the trends. You don't have to be like somebody else. That's not what people necessarily want or need from their social media is a bunch of, homogenous content that all feels and looks the same because that's how we're getting to the end times. Is like eventually like that's also the whole thing with like AI content and AI media and stuff. It's all just soup of everything combined together. Individuality is what will save us. So please, like be yourself. It is so important.
Yeah. Oh, well, that was fun and then terrifying at the
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's
No.
trust me, I wish there are some days where I'm just like, I hate that this is my job right now because it's scary right now. I first of all, social media is just like exhausting to be on these days. And also just we're at a scary tipping point for it where like the things that I love about it, that human connection, like that's not to be all like, millennial about it, but like that the magic of the internet, man. It's so cool. It's connection across countries, across languages, across it's so cool. Why would we just smush it all together into soup? Why would we do that? So yeah, it's a scary time for all of it. And I feel like we're maybe kind of leaving the golden era of short form content because short form content like TikTok and Reels and stuff post COVID was like, or like during COVID when everyone was in their rooms and everyone was getting really creative and weird with it was like awesome. And now the big companies have realized how valuable that is. And now it's getting, ground down into the same thing. So, anyways, that's a long-winded way of me reiterating that point back to you of like,
Yes.
yes, be yourself. Don't just do trends. Do what is exciting to you. It'll come off more authentic that way.
Yeah, yeah. Perhaps like I mean the perhaps kind of like that elaboration and an explanation of that is something that you would reflect on more you because you said that since writing that you learned a lot and that if you were to kind of like rewrite it it would
Yeah.
change not spoiling a potential future feature but like what's like one area that you would kind of like think about or focus on rewriting that now then.
Hmm. I think at the time, because what was really working for us when I wrote that was gameplay videos. The Hues and Cues gameplay videos just like took off because of the way that we were filming them. I mean, literally, those original videos that went viral talk about like being unprofessional and being authentic were filmed with me and my friends over a couple of beers. I paid them in beers and I was like, hey, come over. Can you please help me do my job? Because I can't do it by myself. You need people. So I was like, hey, man, and the reason you don't see any of their faces, they were all fellow med students. And so they're all doctors now. So like they were all like, yeah, we'll come over, but like don't show our faces on cameras. That's why those original videos are all top down with nobody's faces. And I was like, man, that's not going to work. You're not going to be able to see anybody emoting. And they did great. And they still perform great. I still like backlog them and post them every now and then because we are genuinely drunk on beers, playing Hues and Cues. We have like forgotten the cameras. Their eye horrendous to edit. 'Cause I'm like going through and clipping out like weird in jokes that nobody would understand or whatever. But like those are the videos that were popping off. And I was like, at the time, I was like, this is the North Star. This is what everyone should be. If you're a publisher and you're trying to go viral, quote unquote, which, if I have to hear that one more time, go viral, please. Or even just the concept of virality, I think died after like the 2010s. I feel like you don't get on Ellen anymore for getting like a million views. You used to. There was a time where a million views got you on Ellen. No longer. And I feel like with that, virality died. When it no longer got you a spot on Ellen, it's no longer a real thing anymore. Anyways,
Well, yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna apologize then for the joke at the beginning,
Oh,
and
no,
that
no, no, you're
was the
fine.
joke.
You're fine. When it's
Oh,
you're fine. I'm talking about like in a corporate setting of
yes.
like, when's our next video going viral? It's like, what does that even mean anymore? When it's my benchmark for success, that's when I'm like, ugh. But yes, what was I saying? Yes, the gameplay videos were what was doing amazing. And in that article, I'm like, this is if you're looking to like sell your party game, if you're making a light Target Walmart style game, you got to just show them what it looks like to play it. And I do still believe that, but I do since then have found better ways of explaining those types of games through other things than gameplay. So doing short, snappy overview videos with like clips from gameplay has also been really successful. I'm a little less this is the only path forward. for like a really viral video for board games, it is still very solid route to take. But I do think, thanks to people like Danny Standring and stuff who do really great, funny overview videos for games, like there is a way to do it where it's not just gameplay, where it could also be successful. But again, it still follows the same principle of like you want to evoke what it feels like to play the game. That is still at the core of the whole thing. So yeah, I think I'd be a little bit more diverse in like my suggestions for like routes you can take for really successful videos. But yeah, at the time it was gameplay was what was working. So I was like, that's it. That's that's all I have to say. Go do that. It's working for me.
That that makes a ton of sense. And yeah, and honestly, just kind of like some of your thoughts there are going to lead us like pretty well into this. So okay, if
Sorry,
this
I feel like
doesn't
I'm just like rambling.
no, oh my gosh, no. Seriously, I say this like if anybody ever says like they feel like they're rambling, I say like if you're not rambling, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
For sure.
No, no, that like whatever I'm just like pausing and making sure that like what I follow up with actually makes any sense whatsoever. And hope it makes sense and hope it like works to a degree because
For sure.
okay, so in oh here I will do like an official like cut and paste on my document here. So I'm going to take digital content specialist and I'm going to paste it below, even though I didn't really need to do that. But I did have insert official title. Okay, so we're doing this for formality's sake. But
Okay.
okay, so now like kind of taking like I mean everything that you were just talking about, I think is like the most logical segue into this. But in a hypothetical world, you're
Mhm.
now the digital content specialist of the following. There's going to be a few
Mm.
things, so not the app.
Mm.
And this isn't like meant to, and I'm just like assuming this is an assumption, so I could be wrong
Mhm.
that some of these things have less media around them, just kind of like maybe
Mm.
due to their like nicheness or
Sure.
what have you.
Yeah.
And just kind of like, and it's not to call them out in any way, it's just kind of
Oh,
like thinking about that through a lens. So if that makes
okay.
sense.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Sure.
like so in the first one, I picked out a company just because I feel like when I'm thinking about, niche board game companies, I kind of think about this.
hmm
And I'm thinking about them, and I'll say the name in a second, because I feel like, people who are in like really entrenched in the board game hobby or really entrenched in like these particular like companies' games, like
Mm.
they're going to buy them because it's like the next one.
hmm
So
hmm
then I guess the question then becomes like thinking about like the digital content like specialist, your job from maybe connecting like something that is here to the outside more.
Mm.
So the company that I'm thinking of for this would be something like a Splotter. Like if you were doing
Mm.
digital content specialty work for like Splotter game.
I'm having to remind myself what they make. I don't
Yeah,
think
I
I'm
think I think
terribly familiar.
I
Oh,
think
they
like
did
food
Food Chain Magnet.
food chain
Okay,
would be
that's
like
the one.
biggest.
Yeah.
Like Greats and Bob. I think the most recent one,
Yeah.
Horseless Carriage. So just like really just big
Big
game.
crunchy.
And that,
Yeah.
might be like a few years between releases. Like I think that's like another thing that would obviously be like challenging to do.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, this is a company where like I don't know that I would recommend like short form videos for them. I would
Yeah.
personally take this more leader games route. Like because they're entrenched in the hobby. Capital T, capital H, the hobby. They're not gonna appeal to your average. You could like do a good like themed short video for maybe one of these and get it to like pop off, but I would go more of the like long form YouTube video, like designer diary, long form content strategy for this. Like I would start a YouTube channel where you're bringing in the designers and talking to them. You're taking questions. You're do like tier lists of the best cards, like that sort of thing. When you're talking this level of hobby and this level of heavy, there does come a tipping point where it's like, man, a really skilled hand could maybe turn this into a fire TikTok, but I don't know that it's me. You could. The thing is, you can, but it does, I think, these types of games a disservice, right? Like I could boil down Food Chain Magnet into like a punchy, like I could say the fun things about Food Chain Magnet, like how punishing that game is. Like I could talk about it in a way where people would be like, oh, hell yeah, that sounds cool. and then they get it to the table and they're overwhelmed. Like, this is too much. This was not what was advertised. Like, we do have to be a little bit careful of like representing the hobby and representing games accurately. And some of these games, I don't know that you can do justice in 60 seconds. Um, Let me see. I mean, like something like Food Chain Magnet, I'm just referencing that because it's the one I'm most familiar with. The art is huge for that game. It has such a distinctive art style, and that can go far on social media, just art alone. We saw that with Tea Witches, which we
Mhm.
recently published from Manny Vega and Sandara Tang, the same duo that did Flamecraft, right? And the art sells that game almost like full stop. And the board is really cool. Like the visual appeal of that game is huge, and that's a heavy game. And that's something that I've kind of struggled with T Witches is trying to market it on social media of like, oh, this game is heavier than I probably just made it sound, and I hope you're not disappointed when you get it. And it's like 3 hours. But if a game has good visual appeal, that's huge. You can always turn that into a good short form video. So I would focus on the art for these games, but some of them, don't have art that I feel like really stands out. Like Great Zimbabwe, I that looks like boy, that looks like circles on a grid, man. That there's not a lot you can do with that. That game you really would have to like you'd have to get lightning in a bottle to make a really good short form video with something like that. But Food Chain Magnet, you could focus on the art and the uniqueness of how it looks. But the rest of these I would do what like a leader games is doing, like a long form for your fans, for your community. Because those are the fans that are gonna keep it moving. I've only heard about Food Chain Magnet through other people who've had like crazy unique experiences with that game. Like that's what fuels a game like that. It's not a Facebook ad. It's word of mouth in the hobby. So giving those people stuff to talk about, giving them meat to chew on is how I would go about that.
Yeah, that makes like a ton of sense. And I mean, my brain is just going to like a weird world where these games are being like pitched on Facebook or have these like you
Yeah.
said like unintentionally like tricking people. It's like, yeah,
Yeah, it
let's
would it
not.
would kind of result in tricking people, I'm afraid. Like we're getting there. Like I do feel like with the work I'm doing, I am being much more exposed to like the mass market audience, and there is a desire for board games in like a mass market audience. People are still losing their minds over code names. They're like, "This is crazy. This is so cool." Like they're behind us, but they're getting there, especially in a quote unquote post-COVID world or whatever. People do crave in-person connection. And I see that a lot, especially with like the millennial generation. The overwhelming majority of our demographic on TikTok and on Instagram is 25 to 35. Like that's the age they want board games. They're people who maybe didn't play Catan in college and kind of missed the first branching path to becoming a hobbyist and are now kind of back at a tipping point. They want board games, but they're still babies. They're still babies, and we don't want to scare them away. And I hope that maybe in a few years we can start really properly like marketing heavier games. And like people do it well. There are people like Brain in a Jar Casey. She has a heavy her audience knows that she is a heavy gamer and she has like cultivated a space where you come to her for heavy game recommendations. But I'm talking about like breaking out into mass market million view viral videos or whatever. We're not there yet for games above like a 2.5 weight on BGG. We're not there yet, unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay. And I think that like here I created way too many hypotheticals and just for the sake of time and getting to like the actual
Oh,
rational
I'm sorry. I
questions.
probably also rambled way too long about
No. Oh no.
that
Oh, I said this at the beginning. I overplan.
one.
It's
Fair
me.
enough, fair
All right,
enough.
we're on hypothetical situation, and you are doing digital content specialist work.
Mhm.
No, just kidding. But no, there's only a few. But
I'm with
no,
you.
that what you're okay. That the last like note that you said, kind of around that like let's just say like 2.5, or that ability to kind of uh you know break out to strike that chord, I guess, and kind of
Yeah.
almost like a middle ground. I think actually works really well with something that you mentioned previously, and that was when you're talking about being on the R&R show. The most recent video was for trick-taking
Yeah.
games,
Yeah.
and so I guess kind of like taking that lens, and whereas I came up with just like hypothetically like spotter for last one, I don't really have like a company in mind for this one,
Mm.
but kind of thinking about like say you're working for a publisher that primarily or solely is making something like trick takers or
Hmm.
card games where
Yeah.
a lot of people might have that familiarity from
Yeah,
playing games with
totally.
their family, and
Yeah.
it is kind of like that bridge, I guess,
Yeah.
no pun intended, for that,
Yeah.
like, to like some different like hobby games, but
I
it's
got that
also,
after the fact.
but it's kind of like, and then it's also a space that I think, within the hobby, quote unquote, is becoming like a little more crowded. And I
Yes.
don't think in a bad way. I think the innovations and things I'm still seeing are just like
Yeah.
I'm here for it. Do it for
Oh,
another 20
yes.
years. I
Every
don't
time
care.
I think that a genre is dead, I'm like, someone comes out and does some crazy shit. I'm just like,
Yeah.
okay, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Like, it's so cool. I do love that. Every time I give up on a genre in this hobby, somebody comes out with something crazy.
Yeah, 100%. I think like that discourse of like something like wind up being like oversaturated or dead. I don't know. It's like,
Yeah.
no,
It's
it's not.
no, it's I think I even say that in that article, like from a publisher's perspective, it is oversaturated. There's way more games coming out now than there ever were. But that is not a bad thing. It's just a thing. It's just a thing you have to know. And I don't think resenting it or fighting against it, like I'm all for more games from more people, from more backgrounds, like weirder, better. Yes, give me more. I'm all about that. But if you're, in the business to make money or whatever, you just have to be aware of that and just say, okay, what sets mine apart? That's all it
Mhm.
is. And if you can't answer that question, then maybe you shouldn't be making a board game. Like you should, like, if you're resenting all these cooler, more innovative games because they make your bland game sound more bland, then it's like, all right, well then there's your answer. I don't, yeah, it is quote unquote oversaturated. There's a lot of games out there, but it is not a bad thing. It's just a thing. It's just the reality, and you just have to navigate within that. And yeah, I hate the resentment towards the newcomers. It's so stupid. It's what makes our hobby interesting.
Mhm. So yeah, so I guess like then
Oh yeah, the trick taker. Yeah.
hypothetically in
Yeah.
that situation, that's the company, again, a nameless company that's doing
Nameless
that.
company making trick
Nameless company.
takers. Yeah.
Yeah. How are you approaching that?
I mean, you practically said it at the start. It's a format that people are familiar with. That is exactly where I would go with it. It'd be like, this is Hearts but better. Like, or like, Hearts, you can play this game. You know how to play, oh hell, you can play this game. Because that is the number one thing. People go, oh, too many rules, I don't know how to play it. And this is something I mentioned on the R&R show, that R&R show about trick takers. The lingo of trick takers is a barrier. And not doing the hobby thing where we throw out a bunch of terms. Like if you start with like, you know how to play this, you can play this. Um, I'm so sorry. That's my cuckoo clock. I hope that's not,
Oh,
I hope that's not picking up. Okay.
I can't hear it at all, so you're
Okay,
good.
good. It's gonna go off 10 times. So I'm glad. Yeah, it's starting from a place that people know. And building off of that. So saying up front in like a video or whatever, like if you know Hearts, you can play this game, or like this is not your grandmother's Hearts, this is, the cool new whatever. Taking that and using that as a bridge again, is huge. And also dropping the lingo. So not even calling it a trick taker, taking the name of a game that people know, Uke or whatever, and saying it's like that. Don't use the word trick taker. Don't use the word trump suit. Don't do any of that. Don't do any of that. Because we do that a lot in the hobby. We say worker placement all the time. The hell does that mean? Like they don't know. Sometimes we do have our own super secret little club, and that's fine. If you're making a hobby game for hobbyists, it is faster and more effective to say this is a tile laying worker placement push your luck game. Great. Awesome. You are not gonna somebody who's not in the hobby is gonna scroll, it's gonna bounce right off and they don't know what that means. And I think trick takers suffer from that because there's so much lingo specific to trick takers. So getting rid of that, comparing it to card games people know, would be great. And like treating it as like a multi-generational type game because I have a lot of experience with trying to get my very old father to play games with us, and he grew up with Oh Hell, and that is his favorite game. And if I can compare a game to Oh Hell and like use that, he will play a trick taker more than he will play another game because it's familiar to him. And using that as the marketing tool of like this can get the whole family involved, like multi-generational, that would sort of be how I would approach it.
Nice. Yeah, I mean a lot of really good thoughts to chew on there. I think, yeah, just I guess hanging on to the thought about lingo. I mean,
Hmm.
playing games for a while too. I think even now I'll look at. either maybe like social media or Kickstarter, crowdfunding, whatever type of like
Hmm.
descriptions for a game, and it'll just be like a chain of like
It'll
descriptions,
just be
and I'm
word
like,
soup of stuff.
and at this
Yeah.
point, I'm like, don't care.
Yeah.
And I'm not
Yeah.
trying to be mean, but like
No.
yeah, I think it is kind of like returning to the core. What is this? Like
Hmm.
a card game that brings you to your family, like harkens
Yeah.
back to things that they're playing or
Yeah.
experiences or whatever. So,
Yeah, I mean, instead of saying take that, you call it like Uno or Exploding Kittens. Like it is useful to compare games. I don't typically like that in a lot of marketing of like, oh, it's the Uno of blank or whatever. But like when there's so much lingo, it is helpful. It is helpful to use a proxy that people are familiar with of like, it's like you like this, it's kind of like that, but different. Let me tell you how it's different. Because yeah, it's a very obtuse hobby sometimes of I mean, I'm still coming across terms where I'm like, what does that mean? I just recently learned what I cut you choose even means. I kept saying that being like, okay, sure. Okay.
yeah, I was kind of one a funny anecdote quick too is so I think right now uh PAX Unplugged is starting up
Yes,
or
yeah, this
soon or
weekend.
around this weekend,
Yeah.
and last year was their first indie games night market, and
Mm,
the one design
love
game I
that.
have in my life was at the indie games night market
Hey,
last year.
congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. It was super fun, and it it was kind of like a climber shedder thing that
Yeah.
was like a little funkier and was like a little like trickier to
Oh,
kind of
nice.
like get, I guess. I think like it's one of those games like once you kind of like fall into it's like okay, that makes sense, but there are like wrinkles. And I guess I just like kind of like assumed like the number of people who were in line for this was crazy, and the number of people were like, "Oh yeah, what's a climber shedder?" I was like, "Oh,
Oh,
please talk to my friend Eric. He is much better at at explaining um
yeah.
just talking to people." But and then yeah, I
Yeah.
was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I mean." Even people, yeah, who are there for primarily kind of like a lot of card indie games and very, very specific, just like having those conversations, it just like made me like have to re-switch my
Totally.
train of thought like really
Totally.
quickly.
Yeah. No, no, no. Always trying to make like language more accessible. Is helpful if you're trying to get at like a newer audience. Because yeah, it's intimidating. I forget because I've been in it so long how scary and overwhelming it is to dive into this hobby for the first time.
hmm Yeah, I think yeah, doing it where we can to make it a space that's people can enter is just going to
Hmm.
make it better.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, I feel like the party games and the lighter games get a bad rap, but that is having kind of a front seat view. That is where people are coming from right now. That's their entry point into the hobby. And that's like, this is a total tangent, but like, that's also part of it is the elitistness about this game isn't heavy enough. This isn't a real, the number of times we get told it's not a real board game is like, that's so dismissive to somebody who like, this is their favorite game or like, this is the game that got them into the hobby. It's part of why on the R&R show I make a little bit of a point to highlight lighter games because I'm like I know Chris and Ruel will talk about and Rada will talk about the 4 hour games and it's not that I don't like a 4 hour game and sometimes I do worry about like leaning into gender stereotypes with that as well as being the only woman on the show is like don't get me wrong like I love a heavy game but I also feel like there's space to highlight the weird fun silly games that you can bring out at a pub and everyone can get involved and they can go home that night and be like I played a game like I had fun playing a game and then that'll lead them to their local games. So like there is an importance to that, and that's one of my biggest pet peeves is like the elitistness of what is a real game, what isn't a game. It's like if you put your phone down and you had fun with your friends, I don't care what you played. I don't care. That's one of my big things in this industry.
Yeah, no, I like that a lot. I mean, I think in general, I don't have like a ton of gaming groups, and the ones that I do, I think I kind of know if they're gonna. I mean, nothing even like 3, 4 hours super heavy, but maybe
Yeah.
middle is what we can play. But otherwise, if I'm like, yeah, there's a chance that I'm with a group of people and we might want to play games. I've packed like 10 light or
Yeah,
10 party
because they're more
games, and
likely to
it's
get to the
like,
table. Yeah, like at
and
the end
it's
of the day, I want to get something to the table and I want to bring something that I know they'll want to play a medium game, but I know they'll play these light games and I want to play a game with my friends. So I'm going to bring the game that I know they're going to say yes to.
yep. for the from pitch to like getting it played on the table is going to be like 5 minutes. It's
Yeah,
like, all
yeah,
right, we're
yeah.
done. We got it ready. We're good.
Absolutely.
No, I really like all of that. So, okay. So I have two wrap up questions kind of
Sure.
always, and we're kind of that's where we're at is getting into those wrap up
Oh man.
questions.
Okay.
And my penultimate question is always a kind of like a text that is on the guest's mind. So it could be like anything, a game, a board game, video game,
Mm,
show, book, movie, whatever. I
yeah.
guess so. I'm posing that question to you, but
Hmm.
I also had a question like kind of earlier, and I'm like replacing it. So you can
Okay.
answer that question and this, or have your answer for this question be this. And that is, you mentioned your love of retro games, and
Yeah.
I'm curious, kind of like what retro game is one that you've like played relatively recently or thinking about.
Mm,
So that could be your answer, or you could add that
mm,
to something else. So you could have two things, two
mm.
texts.
Yeah. So retro game that I played recently, and this is I'm gonna get listen, retro is subjective. When I say retro gaming, I typically mean like NES, SNES era. But I also do at this point, now that we're on what the PS5, I consider PS1, PS2 era as well, like getting more retro. And recently they re-released, not re-released, they released the first mainline Katamari game in 10
Oh.
years, which was one of my favorite games of all time is Katamari Damacy for the PS2. And it lived and died on the PS2. They did like mobile games and re-released on the Switch, and they finally came out with a new mainline game, which was Once Upon a Katamari for the Switch. And I was playing that, and my partner was like, "Oh, this looks really fun." And they like made an online mode or whatever. And I went down a rabbit hole of like learning, of trying to figure out, is there a way I can play this with someone else? And I found out that the second Katamari, We Love Katamari, still on the PS2, has a two-player mode where you both control. If you don't know what Katamari Damacy is and you're listening to this, it's where you roll a big ball around and you get stuff to stick to it. And it's like I think like the OG like satisfying game. Like you're just rolling stuff up and it's super Japanese and weird and I love it. In Katamari, and We Love Katamari, the second one, still in the PS2, there's a two-player version where you both control the same Katamari, but one of you is basically acting as the left stick and one of you
Oh.
is acting as the right stick, and it's a nightmare, and I love it. We've been playing that every night before bed. Katamari Damacy, the second one on the PS2, playing it co-op. So you're both pushing the Katamari at the same time, and it's a delight. It's a delight. That's more modern than I typically be when I say retro, but that's like the old game that I'm revisiting right now for like the 10th time. I love the Katamari games so much. Um, yeah.
Oh, okay. That is, yeah, that's awesome. My experience is limited. I think, when they first came out, I was relatively young and I'm
Hmm.
like, what is that? And then
Oh yeah.
and then eventually I played it. I'm like, oh, thank goodness I played this. So,
Yeah. Oh, it's such a cult classic. I mean, I died a little on the inside when I went to GameStop to get the new one, and he looked at me like I was crazy. He's like, "How do you spell that C A?" And I was like, "Oh, you sweet child, no, no, you don't understand." They had one copy, and I was,
you
oh, it was mine.
you mean you want COD,
Yeah.
Devin?
Oh,
I want to make it.
I also overheard him. There was an older gentleman in there who was asking for something for WoW, and the kid behind the counter said, "What's WoW?" And I had to just I had to hold it in. I was like, "Oh, you mean like okay?" And then he was like, "What platform is that for?" And I was like, "Oh, see, like you mean the most successful PC game of all time?" Oh God, it was horrific. But that's my answer to that question. It's a retro game that I'm playing right now, and then the game that's on my mind is a different answer. So if you don't mind, I'll give a different answer for that one because that was the
Uh,
first question, right? Like,
Yeah. Oh,
what's
yeah. This was
media
like
that's
intentionally open up. I mean, you could say 10 texts. I don't care. Say as many as you want.
the game that's currently on my mind is an indie game called No, I'm Not Human. It's an indie game published by the same studio that published Mouthwashing, which was one of my favorite games of last year. They do a lot of weird indie horror games. And so, no, I'm not a human. The premise of this game is you're a hermit. You are a recluse, you're agoraphobic, you stay inside your house, your wife has left you and whatever. And one day the apocalypse starts happening. And the apocalypse in this world is the sun gets really, really hot to the point where you can't go outside during the day or you'll melt and you'll die. And coinciding with the sun getting really, really hot, there are the visitors. There are these creepy people-like things that are coming out of the ground. And they go around at night. Everyone's moving around at night because no one can move around in the day. And the visitors are coming around and they're like eating and attacking people. But they only eat and attack you if you are home alone. So what you need to do to survive as your like agoraphobic, hermit type character is let people into your home so you can survive. So the visitors, when they knock on your door and they say, "Hey, kid, you alone?" You can say, "No, I'm not alone. There's people in the house. Leave me alone." The problem is that the visitors look like people. They can look and act like people. So the mechanic of the game is you are trying to screen people, kind of like a Blade Runner type thing. You're trying to screen people. Are they real people or are they visitors? And the way that you're getting these messages of like, how do you know what a visitor is and what isn't, is like through government sponsored broadcasts of like, these are the signs to look for. And they're all really subjective and they're all features that might, be more prevalent in maybe like a marginalized community or something like, dirt under their fingernails or whatever, or like red eyes, like all sorts of things that like, you don't know if these are real signs or if this is the government trying to like, you know, get you to not trust your neighbors. And that's the whole mechanic is you're trying to figure out who's real, who you can let into your home, and hopefully you didn't let any visitors in. And if you did, they're gonna like eat the people in your house. It's a whole thing. It's really creepy and really weird. I played around Halloween, but it had a lot of like societal undertones that I found really interesting. A lot of like our inherent distrust of strangers and like what makes you turn someone away when they knock on your door. Like what is it about their appearance, about their demeanor that would make you not trust them, not let you into your home? It was very, very interesting. Made me think a lot. And yeah, that game has been on my mind ever since I completed it recently.
Oh, that sounds like beyond intriguing. I typically shy away from anything that's like horror, but
Yeah,
I
nothing jumps
also
out. I'm
okay.
I'm not a jump scare person. I'm a like psychological horror person. And this is that to a T. It is not nothing's gonna jump out at you, but it will like every night when you hear the knock on your door, like somebody's like that will send shivers down your spine, and I like that, you know.
All right, well, let's say all of it affects me too much, but
Okay,
I
fair
will look
enough.
into this nonetheless because yeah, this section is just also I could just retitle like the text on guest choice as adding stuff to my backlog and spending money on things that I'll play some. No, that sounds
For
really,
sure.
really intriguing. And yeah, at the very least, I'll be like looking into it, and if I feel like I can handle it, well, I will
Mhm.
probably buy it.
Yeah, it's a good one. Or at least like listen to a video essay about it or something. It's just I don't know. I love the indie game scene. I love games that make you think. I'm also playing Clear Obscure Expedition 33 right now. I'm almost done with it. That has made me maybe like that has kept me up at night less than No, I'm Not a Human. But kind of going back to my love of retro games. I don't know if you're familiar with Clear Obscure.
I've definitely
Um,
heard a bit. I
yeah.
know that it's been up for all the awards. Like
Oh, I
I
was so
follow
happy.
enough.
Yesterday was
Yeah.
Christmas. It deserved every one of those nominations that it got. But it is harkening back to like PS1 era Japanese role-playing games, which is what I love. Like it feels like a modern day Final Fantasy VII. And I love that so much. It is what I like wanted the Final Fantasy VII remake to be. So yeah, I'm playing a lot of games right now. We're eating good. It's been nice. It's cold outside. I get to just hang out inside and play video games all day. It's been great.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, okay. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've had Clair Obscur like wishlisted
Oh,
forever. And
if you like turn-based role-playing games at all,
oh,
it
I
is
like all games. Like
it's
literally. I
phenomenal. It's so, so, so good. I
okay.
can't, and it's also just it was made by a bunch of ex AAA folks who then broke off and made their own indie studio, which like I love that. I feel like we're in the renaissance for indie video games, especially with like Game of the Year having so many indies up for Game of the Year. It's so good. It's so good to see. Blue Prince is like one of the greatest games of the year as well. So many good indies this year. It's been so good. I could talk about it forever, so please stop me.
All right. Well, maybe a future episode we'll dive down indie game rabbit hole.
Oh, love
I would
it.
be here for it because I think the coolest thing too, like especially like the two that you mentioned in Not Human Mouthwashing, I'd never heard of
Yeah.
them, and I feel like I'm not like super tuned in, but I know enough. And I think
Yeah.
once you fall into like the indie spaces, like it opens up. Like now my subreddits are just getting like more and more. I'm on like Metrovania,
Yeah,
roguelites,
totally.
SBC, retro handheld gaming stuff, and I'm like,
Yeah.
ah.
Were you a Hollow Knight person then, if you like Metroidvanias?
I have played like 60 hours of Hollow Knight, but I still technically haven't beat it.
Mm,
I'm really good at starting a lot of games and not beating
yeah.
them. I'm
I
like
think 60 hours counts, man, as you played Hollow Knight. You didn't
yeah,
even I would have believed you.
I know how. I'm like 12 hours into the most
The
recent
Silk
Prince of
Song,
Persia
yeah.
game. Oh no, not Silk Song. I do want
Oh,
to finish Hollow Knight. So I've played like
okay.
Prince of Persia, Metroidvania.
Oh,
But yeah, like
nice.
but basically yeah, like I'm an expert at like not finishing stuff. So
No, I get that. I get that.
but no. Future episodes. We can think about that because yeah, I'm here for that. Okay, like speaking of future things though, the kind of like final wrap up thought is, I mean, obviously we've talked about some places where people can find you monthly or a couple times a month on the R&R
Mhm.
show, on social media pages for the op. I've almost forgot the name of like TikTok, and you have
Yeah.
your own social media as
Yeah.
well. And just also wanted to shout out that very recently you were recognized as a finalist for the Wonder
Aw.
Woman Award for the Women Who
Yeah.
Toys nonprofit organization,
Yeah.
and just kind of, I guess this is your space to shout out anything that you want people to like look out for from you, or anything that I can like link and add or anything like that.
Awesome. Yeah, you can just link my Blue Sky. That's where I'm the most active right now. I'm on Blue Sky at, I think, what is it, Raybird? Yeah, it's just Raybird. Is my Blue Sky handle. And that's where I'm the most active. There will be, I'm hoping, in the next year or two, some very big personal project news that I'm not sharing yet, but like that's where you'll hear about it. And I'm really excited. I'll be doing more stuff soon. Right now, I'm kind of laying low and doing my own thing, but follow me on Blue Sky if you're curious about what I'm up to.
Cool. Well, I think with future news and indie games, I would definitely want to talk in the future if
Yeah,
you want to
absolutely.
subject yourself to my nonsense again. But
Absolutely. Would be happy to.
awesome. Well, I had such a great time, so thank you for joining me
Thanks. Thanks
today.
for having me.
Intertextual Experience, the most
Viral.
podcast about board games and any other text that they connect to. Thank you so much for spending your time here. Your support through listening to this podcast means everything to the show's success. If you enjoyed the project, consider giving us a rating or review and sharing it with any other people in your life you would feel would like it as well. Any further support, such as sending an email to say hey, following some of the show's social media accounts, or contributing any monetary support to help pay for some necessary subscriptions would be greatly appreciated. All of that information can be found in the show notes. Until next time, keep playing, watching, reading, listening, experiencing.